Alright guys, welcome to another episode of Seek One. Today we're going to be talking about the basics of turkey hunting. I want to start off with you guys by telling you kind of what turkeys do and why. There's two different seasons for turkeys. There's a spring season, which we have here in Georgia, and there's a fall season. The reason we have this season is we're going into a mating season, and that's similar to deer going into deer season with the rut and the bucks chasing the does, and you get the separation, and it's the same thing in turkey season. So the springtime, the gobblers are wanting to come out and show off. They want to strut around the hens and display themselves and make them look bigger. So the fields are very good. Obviously, the thicker woods you get, the more foliage that grows up, more greenery. It's thicker, the birds can't quite see as far, so they can't hear as good. So they love to get into more of a hardwood bottom, creek bottom, where they can see, they can hear. Pine trees are great, but pine trees that have been burned, cut, nice and clean and pretty, turkeys love to get in them. And same thing goes for fields also. When they're clean cut, they love to get out there and look for those insects. They love to show off. I mean, those habitats are definitely what you're looking for when you are looking for turkey. Turkeys roost every night just like we go to bed. So we're going to call it sunset. When that sun goes down behind that tree line, that turkey is going to want to fly up into a tree because he can't see what's going on. Nighttime, he's vulnerable to all kind of predators. They love to roost in big trees. They like horizontal limbs, not vertical. Horizontal limbs that go flat out. The flatter the better. A lot of times they roost in the same areas. Sometimes they roost in the same areas in the wintertime, and then they may change it when it comes to the springtime to be more vocal for the hens. And again, in the morning time, they're obviously going to come down out of the tree. Early spring, when there's no leaves on the trees at all, like let's say a gobbler's 40 feet up in a tree, and it's mating season. He wants to gobble to let the hens know that, hey, here I am over here, you girls come on, and I'm going to try to gobble and call as many hens as I can to me, and then hopefully he can see one and fly down to her so they can start the mating process. Well, early in the springtime, there is no leaves on the trees at all. You can see 200 or 300 yards down through the woods in certain areas. So when you're approaching as a hunter early springtime, you can't get nearly as close as you can right now. And we're full foliage right now. Tomorrow's May 1st. There's going to be leaves everywhere, and that gobbler you can probably cut the distance in half getting close to him. Now he'll also, later in the year as we are now, he could possibly sit on a limb a lot longer also. And the reason they do this is he can't see as far, right? So he's gobbling, he's wanting to see a hen. Well, he can't see the hen that he could have a month ago. She may be 200 yards coming in. She may have to get all the way to him, like 50 yards, before he actually sees her to get the visual, especially an old bird. An old bird will sit in a tree way longer than a 2-year-old that is just ready and excited to jump out of the tree and go get his girlfriend. He will sit there until he actually lays his eyes on her. Some states say a legal bird to kill is a bearded turkey. Well, not here in the state of Georgia. It has to be a gobbler. It used to be a bearded turkey, now it has to be a gobbler. And the reason being is because hens have beards too. Some of them do. It's rare. I would say probably 1 in 10 hens has a beard. You may have seen one, you may have not. Just because it has a beard, you can't pull the trigger. So when you're looking for a gobbler, obviously hopefully he'll be gobbling and strutting and whatnot. And you're looking for a long beard if you're looking for an adult bird. Now, an adult bird can have a long beard at 2 years old. And 2-year-old bird, is nothing wrong with hunting a 2-year-old bird. Technically, you're not going to know whether he's 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old until you walk up there and flip him over to see what kind of spurs he has on him. A 2-year-old bird is going to have spurs probably less than an inch, anywhere between a half an inch to an inch. I would call a 3-year-old 1 inch to maybe 1 1/8 inches, right in that category. I would call a 3-year-old somewhere around the 1 1/4 inch range and higher. Now, once you get over 1 1/4 inches, everybody wants to break the 1 1/2 inch mark. Okay, once you break an 1 1/4 inches, I don't think you can accurately judge the age of a turkey. I'm not saying that you might not kill one that's 2 inches that might be a 7 or 8 year old bird. You might, but I believe you can also kill a 4 or 5 year old that has an 1 3/4 inch spurs on him. And obviously the youngest bird, which is a 1 year old, will be a Jake. Now the Jake beards, they'll stick straight out. It's very, very clear. You can't miss it. Now you guys know a little bit about the basics of turkeys. the patterns, the roosting, the age differences between the birds. What we want to talk about now is the location, the scouting, and some of the gear that we'll be using to go after these things. As you guys know, we hunt turkeys on multiple different properties. We hunt a lot of private properties, places that we've had permission for a long time, places that we just knocked on the door. You know, at Seek One, we love knocking on doors. We're not bashful at all. Prime example, yesterday morning, my wife just killed her first bird. Y'all, that bird was strutting in a field 5 miles from my house a week ago. I saw him 2 times. The second time I was like, okay, I need to find out who's got this. I found a 75-acre tract of land on Onex, using my maps, got the name of the property, started looking for phone numbers. While I'm looking for phone numbers, I'm in front of this guy's house. He comes out of the house. I immediately took advantage of it, jumped out of the truck, knocked on the door, got permission. She just killed her first bird on my very first hunt. So it paid off big time then.
Woo! Got him, baby!
Oh, thank you, Lord. Praise Jesus. We hunt a lot of public ground. We float down rivers, we walk properties, we go all over the place. I'm about to go to Wisconsin and hunt public land. I don't know where I'm going. My first greatest tool that I could possibly use is Onex. I will pull that map out and it will tell me what's public, what's private, the land names, and give me a starting point to where I know exactly what to do. Just like here, this 75 acres. I knew the guy's name before I met him. I said, hey, are you Mr. So-and-so? He said, well, yes, I am. That broke the ice immediately to help me get into the conversation. So we use these tools daily when I'm turkey hunting to find out what we're doing. So when I'm trying to find out a new piece of property and if it has birds or where I need to start at, I immediately look for the highest point of the property. That's my favorite place to start. Reason being, because you can hear really well there. I would like to know where all my creek drains are, water on the property, and the highest point. Those are the 3 basic ones. And I'm going to start mostly on that high point at daylight in the morning to see if I can hear a bird if it's springtime. If you're just going scouting and walking a piece of property, you can walk all these. I love to walk road beds, sandy road beds, creek banks, looking for tracks, strut marks, and listen for the vocalization. We can also locate birds on a new piece of property by going out late in the evenings, and I love to do a fly down cackle or a fly up cackle. It's a very good vocalization. There again, you want to be at the highest point of the property. You're still looking for that perfect day because roosting a turkey is extremely difficult. Just because you go there in the afternoon and you try to roost a bird, whether you're crow calling, owl hooting to try to get him to gobble, or doing these fly ups or fly downs, doesn't mean he's going to gobble. He could be 100 yards from you and listen to you and never say a word. So try not to get discouraged about roosting turkeys. That's difficult. Let's talk about gear for a second. I'm not going to go into deep detail on this, but first of all, camo. A turkey can see and hear extremely well. You need to be head to toe in camo. I don't care what color you use, but you need to be head to toe. Your hands need to be covered, your arms, long sleeves, and most of all, your face. Your face shines. The sun hits it in the mornings, it'll shine, it'll give off your location where you may be. So, after you get all your camo on, I prefer to wear knee-high boots, and the reason I wear knee-high boots all the time is because I go through a lot of water. I cross creeks, I go through drainages and swamps and all kind of stuff. I'll be prepared, so I get a good, nice, comfortable pair of boots because you may be walking for miles, so they need to be comfortable and waterproof. It's very important. As far as a weapon goes, doesn't really matter. Check with your state regulations. Make sure you know what you can hunt with. Here in Georgia, my favorite gun is this little Stevens M301 410. A lot of people give me grief over 410. I also have the same gun in a 20. But as you look at this gun, I have this gun decked out. You can't just go buy a gun at Walmart, put a bird shot in it, and pull the trigger on a turkey. It doesn't work that way. You're shooting a 20-pound turkey in the head with a shotgun. So these are hand-loaded special shells from a friend of mine, and it's made to kill turkeys with. This is a Vortex venom sight. I have a red dot inside here, and it gives me precise location exactly to where that shot needs to be. Most people think, oh, I'm shooting a shotgun. You can just point it and shoot, and it's just going to kill whatever's around it. Wrong. This gun right here, most of you can pick it up, pull the trigger on it, and if you're not paying attention, you'll miss a full-grown turkey at 20 yards with it because it shoots such a tight pattern. And of course, I have a aftermarket choke in this gun. This one's made by Comp and Choke. Just some good friends of mine down in Sylvania, Georgia. But Comp and Choke, Vortex, TSS shells, and little single shot gun. This is a $200 gun. Anybody can purchase this, and it is a stone killer at 50 yards. I can kill a 20-pound bird at 50 yards with this gun, and they make it in 20s and all kinds of stuff. Benelli's, pumps, it doesn't matter what you shoot, 20, 12, 410. Just make sure it's ethical. Make sure you know where you're aiming. A lot of guys aim for the neck on a turkey. I love to put my little red dot on that vortex. I love to put it right on his head and pull the trigger. I love to knock that whole white cap right off his head. Also got a bow. If you're a bow hunter, got a lot of guys that are bow hunters. Y'all know we love bow hunting. I make sure I kill a turkey every year with my bow. I've been doing it since I was a teenager. I would shoot the same setup that you shoot during deer season. There's no sense in lowering the poundage on it or shooting some crazy turkey broadhead. You just need to learn where the vitals are on a turkey. Take your time, take a deep breath, make the shot count, and you will be extremely successful, guaranteed. Also, I love to have a good pair of binoculars. Now, deer season, I carry a pair of 1042s. I love a 1042 binocular. Nothing wrong with carrying this during turkey season. I got shoulder harness straps on them. They stay tight to my chest right here. But what I found out over the few years, I like a smaller pair of binoculars. So now I've actually started carrying a pair of 1028s. They're only 28, but they are so super light. I can just pick them up real easy and look. But very good for locating to find out if it's a gobbler in the field or a hen. You don't know what you're looking at. Scanning through, hardwoods and whatnot. Good to have. Guys, there's also a ton of different calls. You heard me earlier talk about I used to be a competition caller. I am a mouth caller. I love mouth calling. I think it's the most versatile, not the easiest, it's actually the hardest. But you can get away with it. There's no hand motions or anything, and I can make the most realistic sounds possible with a mouth call. Now that's me. I've been blowing a mouth call probably since I was 5 years old. So I haven't mastered it, but I figured it out, and I feel like I know how to make turkey sounds in the woods. Now, I've got a bunch of mouth calls here. These are a bunch of different ones. These are tom teasers. I think I got a zinc over here somewhere. I like tom teasers, but they all have different cuts in them. They all make different sounds. They all have a different tape on them. It's very important, just like you're going to buy a new bow, or maybe you're going to buy a new car or truck. You want to find something that feels good to you. I prefer this tape. I prefer this latex, and I know which cuts I like. There are 100 different kinds of cuts, latexes and tape. You need to find one that you like. I'm not going to sit here and teach you how to blow a mouth call. This is something you're going to have to learn. But this is what I prefer. Now, for a beginner hunter, if you just want to go out there and try to call a turkey in, you can't beat box calls. This is what the old timers did, the old Lynch 101s. This is a zinc wicked. You can take a box call, and there again, I'm not going to sit here and teach you how to use it, but you can call a turkey in with a box call any day of the week. A beginner can learn this. I can teach my 9-year-old daughter how to run this. She already knows how to run it. I can teach her how to run it in 5 minutes. Simple little yelp process. That's all you need. Just make sure you do it at the right time. Slate call. We have a glass slate right here. A friend of ours, David Holleran, made this for us. This is actually this has got our Sequin logo on it. Another great way to learn while you're trying to learn how to mouth call, use a slate. You can see the scratched out glass here. I already have a location that I like to rub the slate on. It's kind of like taking a piece of pen and drawing on a piece of paper and making a half C note. So I'll make my little C's. That's all you got to do. That's a yelp. Here's a little bit of cutting. Slate call. They make a slate, like a chalkboard slate, and then this is glass. So bunch of different kinds. They even make aluminum. Bunch of different calls of those, different ones. I prefer the mouth calls. You can't see it when it's in my mouth. I like these better. I can do it hands-free. So I got my face mask on, my gloves, and I'm locked in. It's better than sitting there with your hands tied up on a slate or a box call, so this is why I choose these. If you guys want to hear more advanced calling, comment down below. Let me know. We can do that a little bit later, but it can get extremely advanced on calling techniques. see my decoys sitting right here. These are two of my favorites. I don't care what kind you use if they look realistic. Look, I killed my first bird in 1989 or 90 I think, and I was using that's the first time I think they come out with a feather flex foam decoy that you pop out on the inside and pop it out. At that point in time, as a kid, hell, I couldn't even afford to own a decoy. So my best friend and I went and made cardboard turkey decoys and painted them black. And the very first time we hunted off of them, we had 3 long beards run in, and Jay killed, his name was Jay. Jay killed one of them, and it was just the most amazing thing. We made some cardboard decoys, and they worked like a charm. So, that being said, this right here, what I use, I love a full strut decoy because it entices that bird. It really gets him pissed off in his head. He wants to come kick his rear end. He does not want competition. He does not want another gobbler taking over his baby. So, this is a carry-like pretty boy. And the reason I love this call, I have 3 of them. I bought them when they first came out. They're discontinued. They don't make them anymore. But I love the head on this bird and the fact that he's so big in the body. So you can tell, of course, I hadn't painted him in a while, but I have repainted the whole thing. I have a lot of red, and probably the most important thing on my strut and decoy is this white cap right here. I will bleach white that whole thing and make it white. That's what catches a turkey's attention, guaranteed. When he's a long way off, he sees that white cap. And of course you can take, like here, this is one of my fans. I've got it cut open in the back, so I can just take my fan here and drop it right down in there, and then you have the whole deal. I can only carry that through the woods and I'm fine. Reason being, I'm calling like a hen. He's coming up there looking for a hen, but when he sees a gobbler, all he wants to do is concentrate on the gobbler. I don't care if you had 10 hen decoys and you had 1 Jake decoy, the gobbler is coming to the Jake every single time. He's gonna whoop his tail first, then go get the hens. So if you really want to be proficient, just take a gobbler decoy. There again, you have to check state regulations and laws because they're not legal in every single state. If you're gonna take a hen, this is an Avian X. I think they're extremely realistic for the money. I think they're about 80 bucks. I've had this one for years. You can see the legs are all dangly on it, but like I said, my favorite decoy to use is a gobbler decoy. I will take this strutting decoy right here, and if I'm just setting up with my bow to get a shot, I love my decoy to be less than 20 yards. I like that bird to be nice and close when I'm shooting with a bow so I can pick the right angle, you know, whatever I need. Movement on a decoy. We just posted an episode here shortly, a couple days ago. If you hadn't seen it, I think Drew called it like 5 long bears with a bow, or 5 long bears coming in. Those birds were hung up at 40 yards. With a shotgun, no problem. Could have killed one immediately, just sitting right where we were. But I'm bow hunting. I prefer not to shoot one at 40 yards, and I really wanted them to come. Well, all they could see, they had seen the decoy previously, but all they could see was about probably this much and up. So they could tell that something was there, but not really interested. But if you can make this decoy move, it triggers something in that turkey's head. He has got to come. And I literally went out there, pulled the decoy up out of the ground, and they saw it. They had already heard me. I was calling and crawling at the same time. I got there, I picked up the decoy, it triggered them. Y'all are like not to have gotten the decoy back in the ground before they ran me over. I mean, I drew the bow and they were 5 or 6 feet away. They spun around to 15 yards, boom, shot one through the back, dead bird. So I love to move the decoy. If I'm guiding somebody, I would love to just hold this decoy the whole entire time. And especially if I'm running a full strut decoy. I will literally hold the decoy while the person is set up next to me, behind me. I'm constantly moving. If I see the gobbler, I'm moving the decoy. Here it is. Here it is. I'm showing him how the bird fans, struts. The movement is deadly. I can get more into that again. Advanced techniques of decoying. There again, if you guys want to comment below and you want to see more of that, then I can do that as well. But moving the decoy, super important. Alright guys, we've gone over all the scouting, all the gear, such as the calls and stuff. There's a lot of different options out there. Choose wisely, choose something that fits you. Make sure you work hard at it. Practice does make perfect in this game. Now we're going to talk about game day. What do I do when it's time to go? And I call that game day. So, what time do you need to be where you want to be? If you have a location like I've talked about before, like the high point location on a piece of property, maybe you've never been there, maybe you know where you're going. You need to get where you can hear everything. you need to be at this spot, just to be safe, 45 minutes before sunrise. Go to your phone, go to the Weather Channel app, any app you have, it'll give you sunrise. If you're on a new piece of property, you don't know what's going on, you don't know if there's any birds on at all. Let's say you're standing there and you hear a bird gobble, okay? There again, depending on what time of the year it is. Early spring versus late spring, which we are now. No leaves versus a whole bunch of leaves. You can get closer when there's a whole lot of leaves. Early in the year, you don't want to push the buttons. You don't want to get too quick. So you need to hear him gobble 2 or 3 or 4 times sometimes to make sure you got your pinpoint located exactly where you want to be. Early spring, I don't think I would want to cross that 200-yard threshold unless there's some kind of, now pine trees don't lose their needles, so pine trees are fine, you can use them as a barrier. I like to have those barriers, but 200 yards, that's pretty close early in the spring. Tomorrow morning, full foliage, here we are, May 1st. You can get as close as 50, 60, 70 yards, depending on how loud you can actually walk through the woods. If you're on a good dirt road, you can get pretty close. However, setup is very, very key on this. When you set up from a gobbler, you want to set up where you think he's going to want to come to. He's not going to fly down and go straight down to a creek, okay? Most likely. He's going to want to get up higher. He may pitch down on the ground and get to a higher piece of ground, maybe even an open area, a field. He'll want to go to those areas to gobble and gobble and gobble and gobble because he is still trying to call hens in from their surrounding areas. Now, if you go to a property that you know has turkeys on it and you don't hear anything, what do? Well, I go to Waffle House. But, kidding. If you have all day off work, you've taken a day off work, and you really do need to concentrate on trying to get a bird, and the barometric pressure may be off a little bit. Maybe the turkey's had a bad night. Maybe he doesn't feel like gobbling in the morning. Maybe he already has hens so close to him he doesn't need to gobble. So the best thing you can do here is put yourself in an area that you know they like to frequent. There again, scouting is important. The tracks, the scratchings, the vocalizations, maybe you know their travel patterns. You need to be in that area 45 minutes before sunrise. You need to start there, have your decoys up, make sure you're set back nice and tight. You're going to be listening all the time, roughly calling every 15 to 20 minutes until you want to get up and move and try it again. It scares the daylights out of me to hunt like that. I don't like to call, not hear anything, and get up and move 200 or 300 yards and sit down and do it again. There's a fair chance a whole lot of people get busted this way. They're not vocal. They see you walking, you just called, then they see you walking around. Like I said, when I say I'm serious about going to Waffle House, a lot of times, if I can tell it's one of those mornings and they don't want to talk, I don't want to be in the woods. I don't want to mess up their daily routine of what they're doing if they're not going to be vocal and I can't figure out where they are. Mid-morning, and I'm going to call this, let's call it 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. A bird can die very easily during this time frame. However, they're not always as vocal as you would like them to be. If you can find a bird gobbling in the middle of the day, keep him gobbling. Keep hammering on him. If he's gobbling back, keep calling. That bird's about to die. He's about to commit a suicide because he's already been with his hens all morning. He's out roaming around. He may be feeding and roaming, looking for a new hen, and prime opportunity to kill him. Between 10 and 2, I've got a great friend of mine, and he loves hunting public land between 10 and 2. His favorite time. Now, setup. I love to set up at the base of a tree. It's my favorite setup with a shotgun. I love to get both knees up. I love to be on my left knee with my arm. I love to get comfortable. You never know how long you're going to sit there. That bird may run from 200 yards into the end of your gun barrel in 2 or 3 minutes. He may take 20 or 30 minutes. So you need to get comfortable. Try to keep your butt from getting to go to sleep. A lot of people use pads. I have some here. I'll use a little butt pad to, for my rear end so it doesn't get wore out. So get tucked in tight, head net on, gloves on, down on the gun. When the bird is actually getting into sight, or you're about to see him, or you do see him, you need to go ahead and be down. You can't be sitting here like this. I can't say you can't get away with it, but you don't need to be down unprepared, and then when he comes in, you're like, ooh, all right, here we go, and then you move. That little bit of movement, my wife got busted this year that way. Bird was 55 yards, he's coming in. She was down on the gun, but she wasn't looking through the vortex, And then she went, just that little movement. He saw it, didn't like it, gone. With a bow. You guys know I love bow hunting. I love to use the tree to sit behind the tree. So basically I'm using the tree to hide me from the bird. I'm right-handed, so I love the tree on my left shoulder. So I press myself up against the tree, melt into it. And then when the bird's coming, I'm looking out around the tree. I can see him coming. When I know I need to draw, a lot of times I draw when he goes in behind something, just like I talked about a second ago. But I'll pull the bow back and then I'm still melted into the tree, but I'll come up and then I'm waiting on him. Okay, he's coming. I use decoys a lot when I'm bow hunting, so a lot of the attention is off of me on the decoy so I can get away with a little bit. And then of course he'll come in, I'll take my shot, hopefully game over. Hopefully you guys have killed one after we go over all this, and then you know, the next couple weeks, hopefully you can put it all together. You do kill a bird. Well, what do I do with the bird once I kill it? Obviously, we want to clean it and eat it. You may mount it, but you can still eat it, even if you do that. We clean and eat everything in this house. I live out in the country. We have frogs in our freezer that we eat, frog legs. We have deer meat, turkey, fish, everything. There, you can clean them up to deep fry them by taking all the feathers off of them. You can de-breast each breast. There's 2 halves of breast in here. You can have them out, filleting them out with a knife. And their legs. Obviously, turkeys have big legs, and a good old fried turkey leg is pretty good to eat. So there's different ways you can do it. If you guys want to see that, we can definitely do that. Just comment below. Thank y'all so much for watching. I know we went over a whole lot, but if you want to see me use all these things that I just went over, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We have several turkey videos already posted on there. We have many more to come, and even over the next few weeks, the first of next year, we're going to just keep pouring in knowledge and you guys, and hopefully this will help you out. God bless me with this long enough now that I can use it to help you, and I'm praying that it will. And thank you for watching. I really hope you're successful. Good luck to you, and God bless you.